Right, so my name is Rhiannon Newman-Brown. I'm a theatre designer and work in both theatre and opera.
So what do you do to become inspired when you've first been given your brief?
From my kind of initial meetings, I'll go away and start a sketchbook. I'll write a lot of my own initial thoughts, and then if there are some things that I'm really interested in, I'll start by going to libraries, going to root around, try and find images or text information, any kind of information I can get hold of, and I'll go to exhibitions and galleries that I think might be related to that kind of subject. Or I might go and visit places. If it was something to do with the Regency period, I might go and visit a particular Regency house or country house and take lots of photographs and just amass lots and lots of reference material and collect it all together. And then from there I've got a really good basis in fact and research from which to start designing.
And how do you, so from those initial first ideas, how do you develop your ideas from the kind of drawing board stage right at the beginning to the actual costume?
So once I've done all my research and I've got all my reference material, I'll sit down and I'll do a lot of drawing. It's very tempting to put my drawings in the bin, but I try and keep hold of them because you might draw something in one drawing and then forget it later on. So it's really good to try and do lots of drawing, try lots of things out on paper. Then I will look at colour very closely and texture, just in terms of on the paper and the drawing. And then I'll go out and start investigating those things. So I'll go and fabric sample. If I'm going to make something myself with my sewing machine, I'll try and source a pattern or find an item of clothing that I can make a pattern from. Or at that point, if it's a more modern costume, I might go out shopping, go and see what's in the shops, take photographs of things, and if it's something that's maybe more of a period costume, which maybe I wouldn't be making, I might go to some of the higher houses and go and see what they've got. But it's really crucial to have your drawing already as close to how you want it, because there are so many options when you get out there that you need to have a really clear idea of what you're looking for before you go and start looking for everything. And then there'll be a process of doing fittings or making it to the correct size or sourcing the right sizes and then fitting it to the person that's going to wear it. So that's the sort of process from drawing board to actual 3D costume.
Now, obviously, you've said that you've worked quite a lot on the stage, so I'm assuming you've done quite a few projects. Is there a set journey that you always use when you're designing, or does each project mean that you have to go on a different creative journey?
Each project has a very different starting point because each show that I do has a different story, and so the story is really the thing that you're trying to support that story with your costume designs and with your set designs if you're doing that aspect as well. So every project will have a different journey. You will go off and research completely different things. Somewhere along the line, if you're doing lots of projects, there are things that cross over and there's a bit of reference. You think, oh, I saw that once and that's useful. But generally, everything has a different journey. I think it's fair to say I am me, so I have a personal aesthetic. There are things that I like specifically. So I might be drawn to those things, but I try and keep it as true to the story and as true to the project that we are doing as possible, so that I keep producing interesting work that's appropriate to the story and the project.
Now, one thing I think must be very difficult is maintaining creativity throughout the whole project. Are there moments when you just don't know where to go, when you come to a dead end, and how do you deal with that?
Yes, there are sometimes that does happen, and there can be quite scary moments, and you just have to try not to panic and really just go back to the beginning, go back to your research, and if you've followed one idea, you may go back to the beginning and see, oh, there was the beginnings of maybe another idea, and that's why if you keep all your drawings and just chuck them all into a scrapbook or into a sketchbook, you'll find little nuggets of things that good ideas that maybe got discarded somewhere along the way. You have to sort of trust in your process at those moments, and go back through it. And also, I personally try and be as objective as possible about my own work. So I try and critique my work as I go along at each stage, and really make sure I'm asking questions of my work. So does that costume say everything I want to say about that character? Am I helping tell the story in the clearest way possible? So keeping that kind of objectivity and asking yourselves questions through the process will keep you interested in it and engaged in the process.
And leading on from asking yourself questions, do you, when you're looking at your designs and when you're thinking of your designs, does the costume, does that matter more to describe the actual character and what they're saying, or does it matter more to you that it actually looks good on the stage and is part of the set, or again, is that, you know, just specific on the different productions that you do?
I think ultimately a costume is very much part of the whole picture, and it absolutely is there to communicate to the audience who this person is who's wearing this costume, who this character is, what their status is in relation to the other people on stage. The costume can tell us so much information about, you know, gender or class or place, time. There's so many things, little things, that the audience will pick up on all those things, and that is where the costume really helps with the storytelling. That's your tool. Those are the tools. I think you really want the costume to look great on stage, but it's not about making the person in the costume look good. And as an actor or a singer, they will really appreciate a costume that they feel they can inhabit as their character. So it will help the actor and singer if they feel like they're wearing the costume that really empowers that character. So it's a balance. It's definitely not just about putting something cool on stage. It's got to have something. It's got to relate to the story, but you do want it to look really good as well at the end of the day. But it's really important as a designer to go into as much detail as you possibly can at the design stage, so that you know in your own mind what you would really, really like.
And lastly, what convinced you that this was the career for you? Why have you decided to become a designer?
Gosh, there are so many things that I love about this job. For me, I used to do a lot of performing myself, but also did a huge amount of art and creative things. And for me, this job pulls all those things together. I can do things with my hands. I can make things with my hands, whether it's props or costumes. I'm drawing all the time, which is a skill that I really enjoy using and a way I really enjoy communicating with people. And then it involves, especially with opera, the music, and there's always generally movement as well, which are all aspects that I really, really enjoy. And this is just a job that brings all those things together. And yeah, it's fantastic. And the other big thing that I love about this job is that I'm always working with different people all the time, and that is great. I'm never in the same place for more than a couple of months at a time, working with lots of different people, lots of projects overlapping, so it's always really interesting.